Welcome back. Chapter 9. When Etta woke, she didn't open her eyes. She saw light through her eyelids, but did it come from Ben's window or was she still in Max's house? She wasn't ready to know. She thought about what had happened in the dream. She united Ben Burt with Caroline Cornelia, and she hoped she changed Freddie's life and maybe Sally's. She may have ensured that Henry's house in Kansas City got built. Alice might have made some new friends, and she and Cornelia are again BFFs. All of that was probably enough to make her wake up in Henry's house. It was just that logic had nothing to do with how she felt. She ran her hand over the bed. Was it Ben's or Max? Please be Max, she whispered. I don't want to leave. Squinting, she slowly opened one eye. It seemed to take forever to focus. Max, she said. She was still in her dream, still with all of them. She flung back the covers and started to stand up, then flopped back down. She was sore all over. Yes, she solved some problems, but yesterday had been long and exhausting. As she looked around, she realized she was not only in Max's house, she was in his bed. She lifted up one arm. The pillow next to her was dented, as was that side of the bed. Well, 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 she thought. It looked like she'd been moved from a room downstairs up to Max's bedroom. Was it her reward for freeing him from his violent girlfriend? Or maybe the bedroom honor wasn't for Etta herself, but because she removed the problem. Who was she to look a gift horse in the mouth? She had a second, more vigorous attempt at getting up, and she succeeded. She had on the voluptuous nightgown that had been in her trunk and no corset. She gave a one-sided grin. Did Max undress her? It was a nice thought. As soon as she was standing, she again wished for a modern bathroom. Now she'd have to dress before going outside to that smelly old building. Yuck. She opened the bedroom door. No one was in the hall. She went to Max's mother's room. The beautiful silk dress she worn at dinner was on the bed, as was her corset and the cotton undergarments. Etta rummaged through the wardrobe to see what was in there. Heaven be praised, but she found a white cotton blouse and one of those skirts that was actually a pair of pants. As long as no one asked her to ride a horse, she'd be fine. In a drawer at the bottom, she found an abbreviated corset that laced in the front. She was falling in love with Max's mother. By the time Etta was dressed, she ran to the outhouse. The only one she knew of was April's private one, but she wasn't yet ready to see someone who'd said, I hate you. Etta went around the house to reach it. At last relieved, she went back into the house, hoping Max would be there. Instead, she almost ran into her father. She was so glad to see him that it was difficult not to throw her arms around him. We meet again, she said. From his look, he didn't remember her. Max's wife, she said. Do you want me to show you to the office? He gave a silent nod, but then her father was always wary of strangers. She led him to Max's office, and again she looked at the big desk. It was just like Henry's, but with no carving on the front. Maybe it wasn't his after all. I just put two and two together. The lawyer is her dad? Oh, I didn't see that. Well, he said, this desk should have something on the front of it, but then it would have cost a lot, and Henry couldn't afford it. He was looking at her as though she was crazy. She got herself under control and opened two drawers before she found an account book. It was a mess. Numbers had been repeatedly inked out. She knew her father would hate that disorder. She shut the book. You won't like this. There was a file cabinet in the corner, and she opened the drawers. In the bottom were new, clean ledgers. She put one on the desk and then rummaged until she found ink and a steel pen. She set them on the upper right of the ledger the way her father liked it. She stepped back. There you go. He was looking at her with an expression that was beginning to be familiar. She was odd, strange, even a freak. This time she didn't let it bother her. Have a seat and I'll make you an omelet. A what? She waved her hand. Trust me, you'll love it. She left the room. Since you eat it and only in 7 days a week. What? She left the room. Since you eat it and only it 7 days a week, she said under her breath. Oh, okay. She still wasn't used to the big range that burned wood, but she managed. When the Denver omelet was done, she took it in a cup of strong black coffee to her father. He was looking at Mac's account books and shaking his head in disbelief. Etta knew better than to talk to him. Small talk was not allowed when Thomas Wilmot, aka Preacher Tobias, was working. In the kitchen, she grabbed a leftover biscuit and some cold bacon and made herself a sandwich. I just invented McDonald's. I'm a millionaire, she muttered as she went back upstairs. Foremost in her mind was that she had to find Philip or his Old West equivalent. In one way, last night's dinner had been a great success, but the hurt in Alice's eyes haunted her. How do I do it? She wondered. Max was gone, probably up to his ears in men and cows. So how did she do this with no car, no phone, no anything? Once she was in Max's mother's bedroom, she caught sight of herself in the old mirror over the dresser. She gasped in shock. Maybe she should have woken up in Henry's house. She needed a long shower and a triple hair wash. Cooking grease wasn't exactly her conditioner. She opened a drawer looking for something that could help and pulled out a bar of soap. Not the square homemade lye thing that was in the kitchen, but soft French milled soap. She clutched it to her bosom. I love you, she whispered. A vision of Max, sparkling clean as he entered the kitchen, came to her. He bathed in the river. The only river she knew of was at the homestead. Etta knew that before she went anywhere, she had to make herself look presentable. Her mind spun with a plan of how to do it. There was a little desk in a corner, and she found ivory sheets of paper in a drawer. Thank you, she whispered to Max's mother. She didn't have time to figure out where towels were, so she pulled a sheet off the bed. Dust went up, and she coughed, but she rolled it up like a bedroll and tucked it under her arms. Downstairs, she went directly to Max's office and opened the door without knocking. Of course, her father glowered at being disturbed, but this was an emergency. Alice's future was at stake. Etta knew that her father loved maps. He even liked to draw them. Do you know where the old Lawton homestead is? The sod house? I do. She put the paper in front of him. Then draw me a map of how to get there. He didn't hesitate, but started drawing. You seem to know a great deal about me. A bit. You'll be hungry at 1. There's beef and biscuit in the kitchen. And if you see Alice, talk to her. You two like each other. She took the map and started to leave, then looked back. Have you ever heard of Wyatt Earp? No. It was too early for the man to be well known. You should keep a diary of your life now. You're good at writing. She smiled at his familiar look. He was trying to figure out what she was up to. As Etta left the house, she saw Alice, who gave her a look of, "You are dead to me," then went back inside. This is very bad, Etta said as she went to the stables. She was glad to see Rufus. When he smiled, she saw that he needed a dentist. I need to go somewhere. Could you give me your most gentle, easy-to-ride horse? Tulip is good. You want the side saddle? Etta knew that meant throwing her leg around a big post and trying to stay on, all in a belief that women shouldn't part their legs wide except when creating and delivering babies. That is. No thanks. I'll take the wide angle version. I need the balance. He seemed ready to protest, but since the cook-off, he was a fan of hers. He saddled a big, lazy-looking mare and made no comment as he strapped the rolled bed sheet on the back. He put a wooden box down for her to climb up. Except for pony rides when she was a child, Etta had never been on a horse. It was tall and wide, very wide. No gym adductor machine had prepared her legs to be spread that far apart. When she groaned, Rufus looked at her in concern. So how do I make this critter back up? He looked ill. I'll get the buggy. No, just give me some lessons and I'll be fine. And do not tell Max that I know nothing about horses or riding. Rufus looked like a man facing execution. He won't like this. Please, she said as sweetly as she could manage. It's a surprise for my new husband. Rufus seemed to fight himself for a moment, but then he said things about pulling reins and using her heels and not trying to run. It all merged into one incomprehensible lecture. In the end, he led the horse outside and gave it a rump smack to get it going. Etta pulled the map out of her pocket and followed it. The horse ambled along, and after a while, Etta relaxed. There were few turns, and the Kansas landscape was beautiful. She wondered if this area would someday be full of roads and buildings. When she got to the homestead, she was almost sad for the journey to end. Tulip went straight to the water. Then Etta had the task of getting down. She threw her leg around and slid to the ground. Pain shot through her inner thighs. Oh, for bucket seats of Corinthia leather. She tied the horse reins. She'd seen that on TV, looked around to make sure she was alone, then stripped naked. The water was cold, but she didn't care. She soaped every inch of her body, swam a bit to rinse, then soaped again. About a pint of grease came out of her hair. Wonder how many fish I smothered, she thought. But they're Kansas fish, so maybe I delighted them. Beef roux. When she finally got out, she felt much better. She ran her fingers through her hair, wishing she brought a comb. Bar soap wasn't good as shampoo. She wrapped the sheet around herself, tucked it over her breast, her arms bare. She sat down and leaned against a cottonwood tree. She didn't think that she ever in her life been incontentedly happy as she was at that moment. When Tulip nudged her shoulder, she patted its nose. Thanks for letting me ride you, she said. The horse snuffed and stepped back. There was some new spring grass nearby. When Tulip moved, Etta saw Max standing there holding 2 open cans of peaches. She wasn't surprised. Rufus ratted on me. He is sure he sent you to your death. You may have given him the worm. She laughed, knowing he meant the tequila worm. He handed her a can of peaches and a spoon. I figured you'd be hungry after that. He motioned to the river. Did you see it all? She asked. See what? She wasn't sure if he was telling the truth, but his eyes were tingling. He sat down beside her, their back against the tree, sides touching, and for a moment they ate peaches in silence. Max spoke first. How do you know things? And don't lie to me about my sister's letters. Oh, Max is smart. He ain't falling for that. She took her time before answering. I dreamed them. He nodded at her. I dreamed of my mother right after she died. She made me swear to take care of Alice, but you've dreamed about everyone. Not really, just a few people. Cornelia and Bert, Freddie and Sally, and Alice. Is that all? Actually, there was Martha, the woman you nearly ran over. She's with Henry, but I haven't seen him, and Tobias goes with Lily. Etta swallowed at the mention of her mother, but I don't think she's here. Any dreams about me? No, you're completely new to me. I've never seen you in a dream or outside of one. I first saw you in the church. She smiled at him. You're something I made up for myself, my dream man. I'm not sure you're real. Auntie, you said that last night. He lifted her hand in his and laced their fingers together. I'm very real, he said softly, then kissed the back of her hand. It wasn't one of those little pecks, but his full, lush lips were pressed on the back of her hand. She turned to him, ready for anything. Her sheet slipped down a little, but Max turned away. I think you have things you must do. It's like a quest in the olden days. With a sigh, she leaned back against the tree. He was right. You said that too, Auntie. You seem to be afraid you won't have enough time. Again, He was right. So what do we do next? He asked. Etta was pleased by his we, but part of her wanted to forget all that and spend hours making love under the cottonwood tree. Alice, she said at last, I know the man she's supposed to be with. I just have to find him. Tell me about him. What does he look like? Maybe I know him. If I do, I'll run to get him. My horse will have wings. After I find him, I'll return to rip the sheets off you. Ooh. Okay, Max. Etta laugh sounded like she was giddy. That's a deal. Philip is a mechanic. He's good with machines. And he's a health nut. He lives on kale and protein powder. He hits the weights hard. I don't know what any of that means. Health nut? Is that walnuts? Hit the weights with his fists? Is that a sport? She twisted around to face him. Philip has muscles, biceps, pecs, glutes, quads. He looks like a bodybuilder. Max still looked blank. She held out her arm and flexed a bicep. Like this. He trains my sister and me. Name a muscle and he knows how to make it stronger and bigger. His physicality works with Alicia's brain. I know the word. I just have a hard time pronouncing it. And what about you? What works with you? Etta's eyes widened because Max was unbuttoning his shirt. I thought I'd wash off, he said. She didn't say anything as he slipped his shirt off. His upper body was bare. He was ripped. Oh, is Max Philip? Ooh, scandalous. Okay. Okay, back to the story. He was ripped, cut. He didn't have the giant gym-created muscles that Philip did, but Max had a lifetime of heavy work, and there wasn't even one tattoo on him, made for a nice change. She leaned back against a tree and watched him as he doused his upper body in the cold water. His chest, his arms, his clearly defined abs were glorious. She did say that she wished she had a husband like Philip, didn't she? When he finished, he sat down beside her, still wet, still half nude. When your quest is done, we'll go on a honeymoon to anywhere you want. Paris, maybe. I'm not a poor man. Etta didn't say that there was a place in Kansas City that she'd like to see. She'd have to make sure that Cornelia and Bert put their house in the right place, if she could remember how to get there. He saw her glazed look. I want you when I'm sure that I have your full attention. I don't want to be one of many people. I want to be the only person you see. That's why you're willing to help me? To speed things up? His smile was his answer, and she laughed. You have a deal. Max got up first. He picked up his shirt and put it on. But when he started to button it, she pushed his hands away. She did the buttons slowly. When she finished, she looked into his eyes. Sure you want to leave? She was saying that she was willing to stay there. They'd make love beside the river. His eyes were blood blazing, but he said, there are things that need to be done. My sister isn't speaking to me. Her unhappiness would distract me. He didn't wait for Etta's reply, but gave a glance at her sheet-clad body. I'll wait for you. He nodded towards the house in the hillside, then walked away. Etta dressed with lightning speed, pulling the corset strings tight. If her waist wasn't the size of an ant's, she wouldn't be able to buckle the belt. And besides, an hourglass figure made her feel very attractive. Max returned when she was dressed, and he lifted her so she could get onto Tulip's saddle. I hear you're an expert horseman. Would you like to gallop? Very funny. I'd like a seatbelt and an automatic transmission. Laughing, he easily mounted his big horse, who touched noses with hers. Tulip is his mother. She grimaced. That makes us two old women together. Max gave her a look of such heat that her hair stood on end. Not old and far from plain. Follow me. Anywhere, she said, to the ends of the earth, I will follow you. And she cuts off because Sweet Tulip started running after her son. Etta held on. Etta was sitting beside Max in a buggy, and the town of Garrett was in front of them. She could smell it. My nose could find this place. He smiled at that, glad she liked his home better than town. Where do we look? I have no idea. Philip works on airplanes. There's no airport here. He gave her a look of confusion. I guess we just walk around. Maybe we should buy a gift for Alice, something expensive, maybe diamonds. I agree, but I still don't think they'd make her forgive us. She put her arms through his. When a girl wants a man, she wants a man. Not even diamonds will compensate. He chuckled. If we have to turn this place upside down, we'll find him soon. She smiled warmly at him. Once the man was found for Alice, they could turn their attention to each other. Max drove through town slowly, and Etta looked hard at every saloon, stable, and store, but she didn't see anyone who looked like her brother-in-law. She tried to concentrate on the faces in case old West Philip had a different body than the one she used to. She saw no man who was even close to him. Max stopped the buggy near the train station. Etta hadn't seen it, but she supposedly arrived there. At least her body did. Whose mind and body did I overtake? She wondered. To her, the hastily built station was sad. She knew the connection would be moved and the entire town of Garrett would disappear. There was a sort of restaurant nearby. It wasn't clean and it was too small for so many people. We can get something to eat, Max said. Salmonella in the making, Etta said under her breath. As they were about to enter the food hall, she saw someone who looked familiar. It took her a moment to realize that she'd seen his photo and knew who he was. She slipped through the people to stand beside the man and spoke loudly. Wouldn't it be great if someone opened a real restaurant at each of these train stations? They'd be clean and serve good food. The waitresses could be girls from the East. I bet they'd marry local men and set up schools and churches. They'd stop the violence in the Wild West. Whoever did that would make an absolute fortune. The man was looking at Etta in surprise. Why was she saying all of this to a stranger? She smiled at him. Think about it, Mr. Henry. Harvey girls could change the whole country. With that, she slipped back into the crowd. Max was waiting for her. Another part of your quest? Maybe. I need to go to the. He nodded toward a door in the back. As a child, Etta had seen 2 whole outhouses when her parents took her to historical sites, but she never really thought about them. By comparison, Alice's private toilet was a palace. This one had 4 holes. 2 were being used, and the smell of the place made her gag. She wanted to leave, but she needed to go. She soon found out the advantage of skirts. They lifted and kept you covered. Etta gaucho pants had to be slipped down and exposed a person. Sorry, she muttered when she was frowned at. She broke an outhouse etiquette. She reassembled her clothes, again thinking about the joys of elastic, and left a hideous place. Just a few feet away, rapidly crossing the street, was an older version of her niece, Nola. Her hair was in braids and she was wearing a dress of blue and white stripes. Like always, she was bent on going somewhere and letting no one stop her. Etta glanced at the door into the train building. She could go tell Max what she'd seen, but if she did, she'd lose Nola. She ran after her niece, but she seemed to have disappeared. Feeling frantic, Etta looked around for her, then saw the skirt disappear through a door. The sign said Garrett Emporium. Etta hurried after her. Inside, the store was long and narrow. Nola was in the far back where there were bolts of fabric. Etta didn't know how to approach her. Hi, my name is Etta. Where's your father? That wouldn't go over in any era. It hit her that in this life, Philip could be married. Please, no, she thought. The storekeeper in a white apron was handing canned goods to a boy on a ladder. Fully packed shelves went from floor to ceiling. She leaned over the counter and said quietly, "Do you know who that girl is?" The man looked at Etta, didn't recognize her and turned away. "Don't know. I'm trying to find her father." The man shrugged. Lots of other men in this town. Obviously, he wasn't going to give her any information. So did she stalk the girl? Maybe she could lie to Nola, say she was a teacher and gain her confidence. Or I could use Max, she thought. "I'm Max Lawton's wife," she said loudly. Immediately, the shopkeeper set the cans down and went to her. "What can I help you with, Miss Lawton?" I need a dozen cans of peaches. I assume my husband has an account here?" "Yes, ma'am, he does." "I'll send someone to pick them up along with other necessities." He smiled at her. Pointedly, she looked at Nola, then back at him. The shopkeeper leaned towards her. "She's a new blacksmith daughter. Been here only a few months." A blacksmith made sense. Wife? He's a widower. There are a dozen women trying for him. Mr. Lawton needs some work done. What kind of work does he do besides horseshoes? The man went around the counter to the opposite side of the store and picked up a bar of twisted iron. "He makes barley twists." "Just what I need," Etta said. "Where is he?" "Down back alley lane beside the Cottrell stable." Etta figured Max could find the place. She was about to turn away when she saw a wooden box on the top shelf. "What is that?" "A paint box. I ordered it for a painter that comes through here, but he never picked it up." "I'd like to see it," Etta said. Nola had always loved to draw and paint. The shopkeeper nodded to the boy, who hurried up the ladder, got the box down, and wiped the dust off. "Winsor and Newton," it said. Inside were squares of watercolors, brushes, and ceramic palette, and a tablet in the back. "I'll take it." "Certainly," the man said. "I'll wrap it for you." The girl was leaving the store and Etta wanted to follow her. No, thank you. I'll take it with me. Charge it." With the box tucked under her arm, she followed Nola down the main street. Twice she barely missed piles of fresh horse manure. Her only thought was that they smelled better than the outhouse. Nola went between buildings, then came out into the sunlight near a big stable. When Etta heard the unmistakable sound of iron banging against iron, she followed it. To one side was a blacksmith shop. There was a big brick fireplace with a fire blazing. A foot powder bellows beside it. In front, a man with a hammer was hitting a red-hot piece of metal. He was Philip. Same face, same body. Etta let out a sigh of relief so deep the man heard her over his hammering. For a moment, he seemed to recognize her, but then decided he didn't. "Need some help?" It was Philip's voice. Etta smiled broadly. "I need some sesame sticks. Could you come to my house today and start making them?" He looked totally blank. "Those twisty things I saw at the Emporium? It's for my husband, Max Lawton. We need..." He untied his leather apron. "Yes, ma'am, I'm ready. Whatever Mr. Lawton wants." Wow, Etta thought. This is what it's like to be married to the second biggest landowner in the area. Wonder what they do when John Kecklin shows up. Lay down for him to walk on them? I just need to bank the fire." "Take your time," Etta said. She saw Nola in the back. "Is this your daughter?" "Yes. Nellie, come out here and say hello to Mrs. Lawton." "She can come too," Etta said. "My sister-in-law would like to meet her." That seemed to surprise them both, and they stared at her in silence. "I have to go," Etta said. "My husband is waiting for me. We'll be back to pick you up." She hurried away, her smile so big her face was cracking. Now, she just had to tell Max about delivering Philip to his sister. After this was done, maybe they could spend the afternoon at the river. She smiled at the thoughts. Okay, that's the end of chapter 9. That was such a cute chapter. Like, I say that all the time, right? But no, not really. This was really cute. So she found Philip let me back up. At one time, when she was describing Max's physique, I almost thought that he might have been Philip, but his name started with an M, which I realized the people in her real life, the name of the people in her real life coincide with the people in her dream, the letters. So Hank, I thought Hank was going to be Philip, but then I realized, like I said, the letters and the names. So we were looking for somebody with the name that started with P. So she found him. So next thing is to see if what was his name again? I forgot his name that fast. Did they even say his name? Let me see. She said it's Philip. Did they say his name? I don't remember them saying his name. Okay, well, anywho, yeah, let me just look real quick. I know, y'all. I know. She just said he was Philip, same face, same body. And then he said, you need some help? Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Nope, they never said his name, so we don't know his name. But she claims she found Philip. But will Alice like him? Or is there another person? Dun, 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 dun. Well, that's it. I'm going to see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.